So I remember being a young man, newly married, and realizing within the first few months of marriage that I did not know what I was doing. And realizing I did not know what I'd signed up for. I didn't come from a two-parent home. I came from a single-parent home. And so I hadn't seen up close what it looked like to be a husband, what it looked like to be a father, what it looked like to be a man. And so I've had to, and I'm an only child, right? So I had to decide, I had to make a decision that I was going to figure this thing out. And I'm still learning, I'm still growing. But there are some things I learned about being a husband that only God could teach me. And there's some men who are watching this who you want to be a better husband, but you don't know how because nobody taught you. Nobody sat you down to show you. And so if that is you or someone you know, I want you to, for the next few moments, silence the noise. I want you to lean in here because I'm going to share something with you today that is going to take you from good to great as a husband. I'm going to share with you how to become a first-class husband. It's going to be fun. Let's go. Well, hey guys, David Burris here. I am a life, marriage, and relationship coach. I'm very passionate about what I do. And I'm excited about this conversation we're going to have. I need you to do a couple things before we dive in. I need you, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel so that you are fully aware of when information like this is coming. I don't want you to miss anything. Second thing I need you to do is, if you can, you may not be able to, but I want you to grab a notebook or pen. And I want you just prepared to take some notes. I'm going to share some things with you, especially gentlemen. I need you to hear this. Ladies, if you are single and or married and desire a healthy, strong, Christ-led husband, I'm going to give you some information that's going to help you either pray for that man or position yourself for that man. So we're going to have fun. First class husband. What does it mean to be a first class husband? When I think about first class, I think about excellence. I think about servitude. I think about anticipation. I think about going above and beyond. I think about the extra mile. And I believe that that is what God has called us as men to be to the wives that we're marrying. And he showed me something in Ephesians 5, man, that really took me to the next level as a husband. And I want to show you Ephesians 5, starting at verse 22, and I'm going to read through maybe verse 29, and I'm in the Message Bible. And this thing, if you just read it, I don't have to even give you commentary. It speaks for itself. I'm going to read it, and I just want you to hear it, man. Just let it minister to you. It says, wives, understand, verse 22, understand and support your husbands in ways that show your support for Christ. Let's just pause there. It says here, wives, understand and support your husbands. Another version says, wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands. That is critical. Submit yourselves. Wives, understand and support your own husbands in ways that show your support for Christ. What I'm seeing here is that it is never our job as men to force women to submit. It is something willing that they do. And I'll say this, it's not on the page, but I'll say this: the more we show up like Christ, the more easy it becomes for them to show up like the church. It says, wives, understand and support your husbands in ways that show your support for Christ. Ladies, I need you to hear this. Your support for him is not about him. Your support for him is because you love Christ. It says, wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands. The husband provides leadership to his wife the way Christ does to his church, not by domineering, but by cherishing. Gentlemen, I need you to hear this. First thing I want you to hear is that we are not takers of leadership. We're providers of leadership. You know, we've been heard all of our life that a man is supposed to take the lead. I want to give you a new perspective. Kingdom men, we don't take the lead, we provide leadership. What's the difference between taking and providing? Look what it says. It says the husband provides leadership to his wife the way Christ does to his church. the way Christ does to his church, which means that my template for leadership as a husband has only, I can't look to other men. I got to look to Christ. It says husbands provide leadership to the husband provides leadership to his wife the way Christ does to his church. So that means Christ has to be the template. Look what it says, though. It says not by domineering, but by cherishing. Not by domineering, but by cherishing. In other words, we as men do not dominate the women in our lives, but we cherish them. Wow. And the way we do that is by providing leadership, not by taking the lead. The difference between providing leadership and taking the lead is in consideration. It's in when you take the lead, that is rooted in dominance. In fact, anytime you take anything, there's a degree of domination there. When I take the lead, I am dominating her. But when I provide leadership, the word provision is comprised of two words. The word pro means before. The word vision means to see. So provision means to see before. So what I'm reading here and what Christ is suggesting is that we as men are providers of leadership. That's a part of our provision. Sure, we provide shelter. Sure, we provide cars. Sure, we provide a roof, but we also provide leadership. It's a part of the plan. In order to be a provider of leadership, again, the word provision, pro before, vision means to see. That means I've got to see before and make decisions based on what I see. Which means now that I have to be considerate to the woman that I'm leading. I've got to be considerate to her needs, to her desires, to her idiosyncratic ways, to her disposition, to her fears. I've got to lead based on what I know about her. So that means I've had to provision, pro before vision. That means as a man, I've got to go ahead of her. I've got to lead from the front, and I've got to make decisions from the front based on who I know I'm leading. Which means now I've got to be considerate of her if I'm going to lead her effectively. Now that means that I don't make decisions without considering her. That means that I don't make moves without considering her. That means that I have to consider my wife. Gentlemen, if we're going to be providers of leadership, which is what God is requiring of us, that means that we have to be considerate leaders. So just as the church submits to Christ, as he exercises such leadership, wives should likewise submit to their husbands. Look at that. As he exercises such leadership. That means that, gentlemen, the woman you're looking for is on the other side of your sacrifice. Woo! That's tough to hear because you're wanting her to show up first and then you act like it. But what I'm seeing here is, so just as the church submits to Christ as he exercises such leadership, wives should likewise submit to their husbands. As he exercises such leadership, I want to ask the gentleman a question. Are you looking for her to be to you what you haven't been first to her? Because as he exercises such leadership tells me that, man, I've got to do my part first. I got to go first. Look, verse 25, it says, husbands. Again, I'm reading Ephesians 5 in the Message Bible. It says, husbands, go all out in your love for your wives, exactly as Christ did for the church. A love marked by giving, not getting. Wow. Husbands, go all out in your love for your wives. He says, I don't want you to withhold anything. I don't want you to harbor anything. I don't want you to minimize anything. He said, I want you to go all out in your love for your wives. That means that there's a greater degree of love, of sacrifice, of servitude that a man has to give to his wife than she will ever be required to give him. I said it before, leadership is not fair. I said it before, being a man is not fair. You know, more of us men would appreciate the marriages we have if we just start learning and understanding that this thing is not fair. It's not designed to be fair. It says here, husbands, go all out in your love for your wives. That means go the distance, go to the extreme, exactly as Christ did for the church. Look what it says here, guys, a love marked by giving, not getting. That means that my love for my wife, your love for your wife, you should wake up every day. I should wake up every day asking the question, what can I add to her life? Not what can I take from her life? It's a love marked by giving, not getting. That means that you and I as husbands have to show up every day asking the question, what can I give her today? Let's keep reading. It says, Christ's love makes the church whole. His words evoke her beauty. Christ's love makes the church whole. His words evoke her beauty. That means that my love for my wife, your love for your wife has the power, the ability, the potential to right the wrongs that have happened in their lives simply by the way we love them. Your love, my love, brings a level of wholeness to them that they can't get even in therapy. It says his words evoke her beauty. That word evoke means to remind, which means that you and I, as first-class husbands, have got to be perpetually reminding our wives of how beautiful they are, how brilliant they are, how intelligent they are, how amazing they are. We've got to constantly remind them. His words evoke or remind or call forth her beauty. Let's keep reading. I'm in Ephesians chapter 5. It says, everything he does and says, this is the first-class husband, is designed to bring the best out of her, dressing her in dazzling white silk, radiant with holiness. Gentlemen, I need you to hear this. Your words are clothing to your wife. I need you to hear this. How do you and I become first-class husbands? We become intentional about clothing our wives with our words. That means that every day we're reminding them of how beautiful they are, how grateful we are to have them in our lives, how amazing they are as mothers to our children. You got to clothe your wife with your words. Don't let that woman go a day without hearing how beautiful she is and how much you love her, how much you care for her, how much you cherish her, how much you appreciate her. It says everything he does and says, everything he does, everything he says is designed. Let's just stop there. Everything he does and says is designed to bring the best out of her, dressing her in dazzling white silk, radiant with holiness. And that is how husbands ought to love their wives. They're really doing themselves a favor, since they're already one in marriage. There's so much there we got to unpack. It says everything he does and says is designed to bring the best out of her. I need you to hear this. Gentlemen, you and I have got to be designer lovers. I know that sounds crazy. We have to, our love has to be designed to bring the best out of them. Everything we say, everything we do has got to be designed to bring the best out of them, which means that if it's not going to bring the best out of her, I should probably not say it. If it's not going to bring the best out of her, I should probably not do it. What that means now is I've got to be intentional to keep my mouth shut if I'm going to say something that's going to hurt or harm her. Woo, I've got to be intentional to stay away for a moment if I'm going to do something that's going to hurt or harm her. God is requiring a different level of maturity for us as men. It says, and this is how husbands ought to love their wives. They're really doing themselves a favor since they're already one in marriage. Let me tell you this story. A few years ago, my wife and I, we were at the house and she asked me for a glass of wine, and we didn't have any at the house. I said, we don't have any wine here. And she said, well, would you mind going to get some from the store? And I said, God, I don't mind. But, at the time we lived in a certain area of Long Beach, California, where parking was terrible. And if I would have moved my car, I would have come back to no park, which means I would have had to park a mile away. I said, sis, if I move my car, I'm not going to have a park. She said, well, the store is closed. You can just walk. It's just around the corner. Walk. And the moment I said walk in my head, Lord said to me, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church. He said to me, and that is how husbands ought to love their wives. Look what it says. They're really doing themselves a favor since they're already one in marriage. Right in that moment, God shifted my mindset. This is what he told me. He said, I want you to get into the habit of doing for her what you would do for you if you wanted it or needed. Woo. Fellas, this is a mindset shift. This is paradigm shift. Let me give you permission to think differently. I want us as men to get into the habit of doing for our wives what we would do for ourselves. Because we're really doing ourselves the favor because we're one with our wives. Immediately, I put my shoes on, walked out the house, walked to the store and got that woman some wine because I wasn't doing it for her at that point. I was doing it for me because she is me. I don't prepare her plate for her because it's her. I prepare it because she is me. You and I have to get into the habit of doing things for them because they are us. Look at verse 29. I'm going to land here. No one abuses his own body, does he? No. He feeds and pampers it. That's how Christ treats us, the church, since we are part of his body. Look at that. Christ says, because you are a part of my body. I want you to consider this, and I want to give you a word picture. Right now I have on a blue double-breasted blazer. I got on a gray turtleneck. I got on some dark blue pants. I put this on and my body benefits from it because it's a part of me. I need you to hear that. What God is saying to us is, he says, no one abuses his own body. Does he know he feeds, he pampers it? That's how Christ treats us, the church, since we are part of his body. I want you to hear this. Christ is doing for us what he would do for himself because we're a part of his body. Goes on to say, and that is why a man leaves father and mother and cleaves to his wife. No longer two, they become one flesh. This is a huge mystery, and I don't pretend to understand it all. Wow. So for you and I, we're going to become first-class husbands by just doing this Ephesians 5. I'm going to give you some homework, fellas. I want you to meditate Ephesians 5, chapter 22 through 33 in the Message Bible. And I want you to really identify 2 or 3 things here that you say, I'm going to work on doing this right now. And we're going to go to another level as husbands. Let me pray with you. Father, I thank you for the men who are watching this. I pray now, God, that you would teach us even more about how to show up and to be more like you, how to love the women we have been given and afforded the opportunity to lead, how to love them the way you desire to love them. God, teach us how to be more patient, more kind, more gracious. Teach us how to be more considerate. And God, teach us how to do this word. Teach us how to be more like Ephesians 5 men. God, I pray for the women who are watching, and I pray that if they do not have husbands that are doing this, God, that you would allow the men to have their hearts pricked to the degree that they become first-class husbands. God, if we don't do anything else, just teach us how to do this word. Teach us how to do Ephesians 5. I pray for single women that, God, that you would set the men up who are going to do life with them. Set them up to lead like this. And I pray that they would not settle for anything less. We love you. We praise you. We honor you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Hey, listen, I am very passionate about helping men and women like you thrive in your relationships. Super passionate about it. I'm very passionate about helping married couples get on board with God's plan for their lives, for their marriage, for their household, for their family, and for their future. I'm really passionate about helping single men and women position themselves for relationships that exemplify Christ. It's what I do for a living. I'm a public speaker. I'm a coach. That's all I do. If you're watching this and you are a married couple who needs a transformation in your marriage, or a married couple who's doing well, but you need some strategy for how to go to the next level in your marriage. If you're single and you desire to be married and you want to position yourself for marriage, or if you just need some coaching, I want you to hit the link in the caption of this video. I would love to work with you. I'm excited about what God's doing in your life, and I'm ready to help you get to your next level. One of the things I do, and it's my motto, is I give you permission to think differently. My name is David Burris. Until next time, y'all take care.